My name is Nina Shirey. I am a founding member and member of the Leadership Committee on Athletes for Change and Equality. And I'm here with Dr. Kovacs. Dr. Kovacs, I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Dr. Bub Kovacs. I'm an associate professor at Fairleigh Dickinson University. I teach in the graduate programs and a little bit undergraduate, and I teach in the sports administration program. And I teach youth sport administration, and I teach human resources for sports organizations. And I also, in my volunteer life, am a sports official. So I'm really pleased. Nina is one of my students, and I appreciate her reaching out to me for this conversation.
Thank you. So we're really today focusing on diversity and inclusion, and I wanted to ask you what you thought the importance of diversity and inclusion was.
I'm going to take it from a sport perspective. I think that sport has been a strategic driver in creating a more diverse and inclusive society. I think that sport is the meeting ground for people of all ages, races, sex. I think it has been the spot where we can all agree and come together. I've been around a long time. I've seen the change that has taken place because of Title IX and how that has fundamentally changed the narrative in higher education and education in general, and sports specifically. So I think that not falling behind society, but being in front of societal change has been sport. And it's one of the reasons I love to teach in sports administration, because we are, I think, further ahead than many other areas, including STEM, being more diverse in STEM and attracting more women in STEM. I think that sport has done a really good job in attracting and propelling change in society. So I'm very pleased to have this conversation in this regard. So I'm just going one step further. I think that's why youth sport is so important. I think that the interaction on the field and then off the field creates the interaction that allows people to feel comfortable with people who are different from themselves. And I wish, in fact, we weren't segregated by age, because I would love to see more young people with older people in athletic competition with each other and or on the same team. It's difficult to do because there's not a lot of 7-year-olds playing baseball. But if there were, it would be a great opportunity to create great dialogue across race, gender, and age. So I wish we had more opportunity, and there are some sports where that is true. And I know, for example, you see things that allow people to do adaptive rule making, so that people who are differently abled, for example, can in fact compete against each other. So I think it's possible, but we should probably do more of it.
I agree. Now, going off of that a little bit, how do you think that moving forward we can diversify and make more inclusive environments for all?
Yeah, let me go back to my youth narrative. I think that flicking a switch and creating diversity doesn't work. I am a believer in creating a pipeline that allows people to create ladders for their careers and entry into organizations. And so I think the way that sport can assist, and I apologize for sticking on sport, but I think what we can do is spend more time in sport working with younger people and particularly corporate America working with young people, and the milieu could be sport. And it can then become STEM. So I am a believer that in order to get a more diverse workforce, we've got to start earlier on with younger people and get them into partnerships with nonprofits, for-profits, independent sector, volunteer organizations that will bring people together in such a way that we can change the narrative. As Nina knows, one of the things that I support is a group called Hudson River Community Sailing, where we work with young children who are at risk and use the sport of sailing to provide access to STEM curriculums. And then we use that STEM curriculum as a basis to assist students in going into the sciences, specifically environmental engineering and the hard sciences. And in fact, that program was just featured, and Nina shared that with me on the Today Show earlier in the week, where they talked about this. And it's particularly important because that happens to be a sport that spans gender. It spans age. So you have this idea that I'm suggesting about having people of different ages and races and genders all in the same place at the same time, and using sport as the strategic driver in that regard. So I believe that we can create better access. It requires the people who are running organizations to embrace that approach. We sort of do things the way we've always done things, and that's dangerous because, as I say, in some declining nonprofits, you're going to lose your traction unless you create a population that's interested in your endeavor that is more diverse. You're just not going to be in business. And so we have to figure out how to take people who are running sport organizations to consider what the future looks like. And let's get real here. In the for-profit sector, sport recognizes this. Sport clearly recognizes this in the professional sports arena. They get this. But we've got to now transfer that into the nonprofit world, the leagues, the youth sport organizations. We need to get that perspective as a driver. What's very difficult, however, is that most of those organizations are run by good-willed, good-hearted people who are volunteers. They may or may not recognize that they could be at the forefront of change. I don't know, I'm just lining the soccer field. I don't know why you think I'm at the forefront of change. And I said, well, you are. You model the behavior that you would like to see in the children. So you are there with the opportunity to influence long-term outcomes in many ways that, paid people can't. I'm optimistic that that sport has been at the cutting edge. In fact, I think people don't realize when I teach classes, Nina, and I say, look, Title IX is not about sport. Everybody thinks Title IX is about sport. I said, no, it's incidental to sport. And it was about equity in educational access. It wasn't about having more women's sports. It ended up being that way, but as one of the elements. But it really is, it was a tipping point that really changed everything.
Right, yeah. And I think that we can both agree that sport is definitely a means of transport to get to being a more diverse and inclusive community. I think sport plays such a huge role in that, and I think we can both agree on that for sure.
Yeah, you bet. It is one of the drivers in society. When we have guests from other countries visiting us, they cannot believe how sport crazy we are as a nation. They'll be on the TV and they're going through all the channels and they'll say, how is it that the US has 20 sport channels? You know, you have an entire channel dedicated to the Big Ten. They say, what is this? You know, and they're sort of like, so yeah, I think that sport really, really can be a platform for creating not only a more diverse society, but actually bringing that diversity together.
That's really that's all I really had today, but I really appreciate you taking the time and meeting with me and talking about this.
Yeah, I'm glad to do it, Nina. I think you're terrific, and thank you for taking this on. And I'm glad to be here.
Awesome.
Be happy to talk to you anytime.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.